Ready for another day full of lives? I hope you are too. I made this amazingly delicious smoothie from one of the books in the bundle. This is from Alana Jordan. She's Naturo Minta here on Instagram, and she's going to be joining us for the live. This is her dark pepper wine smoothie, and it is so good. Wow. I love that one so much. And you can get her recipe book as well as ours and so many others in the bundle. The link is in the bio. And I'm so grateful for everybody for joining. Thanks for being here with me. The community aspect of the bundle has really been really soul healing. So thank you so much for joining. We're just going to wait for Alana to join. But don't forget to check the bundle out because there are so many amazing things in it. And if you were to buy everything separately, then you would pay $8,049, but you're only paying $49. So you're getting $8,000 off this bundle. So you're going to want to go check it out. The link talk about getting kids excited about eating healthier food, and Alana is one of my favorite people about this. So thank you, Alana, for joining. Hello.
Hey, Melissa.
Hey,
Hey, Lisa, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I can't see you, but this has happened before, so I'm not going to freak out. I'll just like pretend that I can see you because I could see you before I got on.
Oh, yeah, I can see you. So
That's
hopefully
fine then. Yeah,
it's more
we
like a
can do
podcast for you.
it. Exactly.
Oh, totally. So thanks for joining, and thanks for joining in the bundle. I absolutely love your smoothie book. I think it's super unique because you use different herbs and spices included in your smoothie. Can you share a little bit about that for the new people watching?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to. Yeah, when I was going through my naturopathic studies, we talked a lot about the therapeutic qualities of herbs and spices, and I just realized that there were so many different herbs and spices that I didn't use on a regular basis. And since like I'm a busy mom and I'm always trying to like get in like quick delicious meals, I decided to kind of combine the two worlds and really like delve into like how I could use herbs and spices in a different way. And so I just thought it would be cool to make a smoothie ebook and have like, yeah, those two things together. And some of the herbs and spices I actually didn't know at all. Like, I didn't really know how to use them. I wasn't used to using them. I was kind of used to using the same herbs and spices in the same ways all the time. So it was like also for myself, like pushing my limits and just like learning myself how to be using these different herbs and spices. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of the book. And then so each herb and spice has one page that explains a little bit about how the herb and spice has been used over time by humanity. And then the second page is the recipe. And so I believe that there are 24 recipes in the ebook. And yeah, it was a lot of fun making it. And I know that like, a lot of people have enjoyed this smoothies, so I hope that people will continue to enjoy them when they get the bundle this year as well. Because it's
Yeah,
never been
well,
in this bundle, but
oh yeah, it's never been on this bundle. So if you want to go grab the bundle, the link is in either of our bios. Go grab it. My favorite, as I was mentioning earlier when we started, is the dark purple wine. That one's like by far my absolute favorite smoothie. Yeah, Rosie's Raw Living is like, I love Alana's book. It's so good. It's so awesome.
oh,
What's your favorite smoothie in there?
I think it's the dark pepper wine smoothie too, just because I really love that like that bite that the black pepper brings to the raisins and the blueberries.
Mhm.
Yeah, for those listening in, I tried to create a smoothie that kind of emulated the taste of wine because I'm actually living in France. I'm from Maine originally, but living in France, I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to make like a smoothie that has a wine taste to it, because I find that like, having gatherings, it's kind of nice to be able to offer things to people that's not alcohol. And I was like, oh, why not make a wine smoothie? And so that was kind of how I came up with the idea. And I was just testing around with different flavor combinations, and I found that one, and just stuck.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's really, really good. I really love that one. And so, yeah, I wanted to chat about the topic for the day, which is getting kids to enjoy and choose more healthy options and not have to fight them so much. And in the bundle, we have another product from Margot, which is No More Picky Eating. So for people who do get the bundle, that's another nice like compliment ebook that you get as part. But I wanted to ask you because you have little ones and you have so much experience with it. So what would you say would be like some of the most impactful things that you've done to help your kids enjoy and choose more healthy options, like raw and vegan?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. So basically, like first of all, it's I believe it's easier to be able to offer these options when you and your partner are on the same page in terms of parenting. That can be a challenge for some people. So if you feel like you're in that position, anyone listening, I have a lot of empathy for you, and just know that there are ways that you can like propose healthier options or like even more raw options. Firstly, I find that like just finding delicious recipes and like offering them is helpful. Like not putting pressure on the family to like eat healthier, quote unquote, but like just offer them options and like, okay, so I just made my kids this like nice cream. It's kind of melting now. But that would be like one of my number one recommendations for getting more like raw like fruits into kids is nice cream. It works so well. Like, and even like you can add like barley juice grass powder in it to make it green, and that's like kids like that too. So I think that that would be like one of my number one tricks in the book. And I think that like even parents who are like feeling like they don't want to necessarily like be feeding their kids healthy all the time, giving them ice cream is like, oh, this is cool. Like everyone's happy with ice cream.
So true, so true.
And I think the other thing that I use with my children that worked really well was making smoothies and putting them in smoothie pouches. I'd make them green smoothies and use these like I think there were 16-ounce smoothie pouches. And since it's hard to get kids to concentrate when they're sitting at the table eating all together, sometimes I'd actually just give them the smoothies when they're in the car, like driving like in the morning to daycare, and it gave them the time to like, quietly, calmly drink their smoothie. Like, granted, we were in the car, and I know maybe that's not ideal for some people to be teaching their kids to eat in the car, but that's my solution that I found. So I just like would make, they loved frozen mango banana spinach smoothies. That was like one of their favorites. What else did they like? Like banana raspberry, and then sometimes I'd add kale in there. So yeah, like the smoothie pouches, like that's another really great way of getting kids to eat more raw, especially when they're younger. Because my eldest is 6, and the twins are 4.
Mhm.
And then the other thing that I was thinking about that is actually in the bundle, part of the bundle, it's the group recipe book. I included a recipe on it's like the living mandala, and the idea is just basically getting a bunch of beautifully colored fruits and cutting them up in different shapes and sizes and making a mandala with your kids or for your kids. And that like hands down like works every single time. Like my kids love that. Like I could put a cake in front of them and a fruit mandala, and they would go for the fruit mandala first. Like I
Wow.
know, like you put raspberries and strawberries and all that, they just yeah, they love it.
Mhm.
And I really feel like we live in a world where holidays gravitate around a lot of like heavy foods, a lot of animal-based foods, and it can be sometimes hard to like get away from like those cakes and pies that are, part of like the family traditions. And I think that um, adding this type of a tradition into your life can have a really positive impact, not only for your family today, but for your children tomorrow, because you're basically creating memories with them, positive reinforcement around this healthy food during the holiday season. And I think that that like is super powerful and super positive. And you can still do it without doing all or nothing. Like, but I do believe the more living colorful foods that you can add into your children's lives, the better they are for the rest of their life. You know, you're getting them into the positive habit of eating that way. So
I love that. I love that you said it's not like all or nothing because it's really challenging in our world. Like our world isn't set up for healthy eating, and it's hard when you know your kids have friends and they're going over to their friends' houses. You know when they're older and stuff, and they're experimenting with other things. At least they have that foundation to fall back on that you taught them when they were younger. And also, I like that you said that too, like not black and white, because giving them the choice is kind of like that freedom, but reinforcing like this is a really healthy option for you, right? Instead of making them scared of the other stuff, right? It's a more like, because when we reinforce that fear, that can build up over time, and it can cause other issues down the road, like disordered eating patterns and stuff, because they're so scared of the other stuff. Whereas
absolutely.
instead you just share like the positive benefits of eating the healthy food, and you give them that option, then in a way it's like their choice and they're well informed, right, about the other option. But I love the tradition thing too, because traditions were made through repetition. That's really all it is. It's just we repeat the same thing every single year, and we can change those traditions. No one says that we can't, right? So, keep certain traditions really traditional, and then, add in the other new traditions. Like for us, the the meatloaf that I make, it's like a mushroom carrot kind of like meatloafy thing. I only ever make it on the holidays because it's like a holiday recipe that we make, and now every year
Nice.
I look forward to it. But it's because I created that tradition for us.
It's amazing. I haven't tried it yet, but it looks really good. I would like to
Mhm.
try it.
Yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. Last year we had a live, and you talked about stories, like making stories around food. Can you go into more detail about that? Because I loved hearing about how you do that, and how other parents can use stories to their advantage with their kids.
Yeah, I'd say like just usually like stories will come about, especially when I'll make like face plates. Like so I'll just basically have a plate and I'll like cut different fruits or vegetables and actually make shapes like of the face. And my kids will like to make stories up like his name is this and like he does that. Or like it could actually be like a landscape. Like you could make a landscape out of fruits and vegetables and just like imagine you're kind of like walking in the landscape. So it's, I mean, it's really simple, but it's just like just the idea of adding imagination to the mealtime and letting your kids express like, what they're seeing. And so it's like it's a lot of fun. And like I said, the mandala, like I for the group recipe book, I made a huge Easter egg and so they were like, when they were eating it, they were talking about the Easter Bunny, and they're like, oh, are we going to see the Easter Bunny this year? And actually, in France, they call it the bells. Like, they don't say the Easter Bunny comes, it's like the bells, les cloches. So they like talk about les cloches and the Easter Bunny. And yeah, it's just like adding imagination and fun into mealtime as well. And I totally agree with you on the positive, like focusing more on the positive than the negative. Because I do like my kids when they go to birthday parties, they will like eat candy, and sometimes I'll buy them like vegan candy for their parties. And I really try to like let them, have that freedom. And I've actually noticed that they usually come back to like the healthier options and they've even said sometimes like, "Oh, my belly hurts," and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting." I was like, "Do you think maybe it's because you ate too much of that candy?" And like, usually, I mean, I'll say that when I actually believe that that's the case, and they do like they notice like more about how their body reacts to different things. So, yeah, and I try to like take kind of you know a balanced stance on that and like not put too much pressure because I've gotten feedback from other people, even in the raw vegan community, that say like, it is like it's healthy to be giving your kids all these like, you know, wonderful meals, but you do need to find a balance and not put so much pressure on them because later on it can backfire. So it's like finding that finding that balance.
Yeah, yeah, it's so important to do that too. because of that exact thing. Like it can backfire. But like you said, if you create like a loving environment around it, instead of like getting mad at them or saying like, why did you eat that or whatever, you know, like some parents do get like really intense about the food choices. But instead just educating them with like a logical sound, you know, calmness, and be like, yeah, like you said, when their tummy is hurting, you explain, you're like, could it been have been that, and have a logical conversation with them because they understand, right?
Yeah.
So it's really good to do that. Somebody in the comments says, how should we treat when kids are aggressive? Like maybe if there's a child who's really aggressive against eating certain foods or whatever, what would you say to that?
I honestly wouldn't force a kid to be eating like at all. Like if they're not wanting to eat, like I would try to like take them away from the table and try to understand like what feeling is going on and like try to dig a little bit deeper. Because if they're getting aggressive, then something clearly is going on. Maybe like to try to like change the mood around the mealtime would be like including them in like preparing the meal. Like, hey, how would you feel about helping mom or dad like cut up some things for the meal? Like what if you were the one that made the smoothie today? What if like we made some ice cream together? Really giving them the responsibility and like giving them a new role, like saying like, "Oh wow, I'm so proud of you because look, you cut things so well." And this is like for younger kids. I don't know if like this person is asking for like adolescents or younger kids. So of course, like these tactics would be different according to age.
Mhm.
But I would say like I would definitely avoid like forcing a kid to eat because that will definitely create I think it will create some resistance in the long run.
Mhm.
And I would try to like hand them over part of the responsibility of creating meals. I've even seen like really cool like kids knives that are like safe for little kids and you can even like buy a smaller blender, like a NutriBullet blender, and they could like have their own like cooking equipment. So
That's
I don't know, it could be
a good
something to
idea. I
explore.
like that. I love that idea. I know, like sometimes in certain grocery stores, I've seen those like little tiny kid grocery carts where they can push it around the store themselves. They're so adorable. But yeah, I love that you said that. Get the kids involved. Like, open up the bundle. For those of you who are watching, grab the bundle. The link is in either of our bios. Open up a recipe book and show them the pictures and be like, what do you think you'd like to eat today or
Yeah.
whatever, and have them involved in it instead of just, you know, it's dinner time and they eat what you make. Have them have a say in what they want, because you know they're
Hmm.
developing their tastes and preferences, and if you're only making what you want to make, then they are kind of subject to what you're eating. Instead, giving them options and say like, well, this is, you know, like, have we've never had curry before, do you want to make this curry flavored recipe or whatever, like let's try it. And if they don't like it, they don't like it. But don't like get mad at them for not liking it. Maybe they will like something different, like maybe a ranch style dressing or something on a salad, or dip some veggies in it or something. So yeah, get them involved, have them choose with you. And then another thing too that I've noticed along the same lines is have them pick the vegetables at the grocery store. If you can
The
take them
rainbow
with you.
colors.
Yeah, rainbow colors, would be like, okay, so we're gonna pick something red today or whatever, and have them go choose a red bell pepper or a tomato or something. And when they are more in connection with their food, they're more likely to want to eat it because they were involved, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah,
if
my kids get excited when I take them to the store and like they see all the fruit. They're like, "Ah, I want raspberries, I want blueberries." And I can tell that like it's getting, it's definitely positive reinforcement to involve them. Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. And also, I had some people message me too on this topic, was for the little kids who can't chop, get them to wash the vegetables. Because they just put them in a bowl with water and they can splash around and play, and it gets them like kind of connected with the food, right? And then, you know, they can push the button for the blender, and then the older kids can cut, like there's like kid safe knives that you can get. so that they can cut softer things. So those are all good ideas too.
Yeah, actually, I did a couple of demos, not demos, but actually like workshops with little kids. I went to my school, like my children's daycare and school on a few occasions, and I brought my Vitamix, and they like were so excited just by the sound of the Vitamix. I was like, "Do you guys want to hear a plane taking off?" I was like, "Hold on." And like just like since it's so loud, like they just got a kick out of like hearing how loud the Vitamix got. And like, I mean, I'm talking like, 3-year-olds, but they still had such a fun time. I made like raw applesauce with them, and they just like loved it. They were like super happy.
Oh, that is so cute. I love that. This is adorable. What do you say to kids? Like, for example, say you wanted to introduce a new food into their diet, like they've never had it before. We'll say just randomly, we'll choose like broccoli or cabbage or something that they might not have tried before or something that they don't really like. How do you go about including it slowly into their diet? What's the best way that you've found?
Sometimes I'll be sneaky and I'll like cut it up into really like small pieces and mix it in with other food like fruits and vegetables, or if we're having quinoa, things like that. Like I'll mix it in, and then sometimes I will try to get, like, if there are different varieties of the food, like if they're mushrooms, maybe get a different type of mushroom. And if it's like something that they've already tried and they haven't liked, like just try to be like, hey, like let's try it again, buddy. Like it could be, interesting to see how it goes this time. And sometimes kids will actually try something even though they've said several times no. I read a scientific study that basically stated that I think it takes like at least 11 times for a kid to like really say no about a food and like really kind of mean it because they really are not enjoying the taste. But like, yeah, it can take quite a while to for a kid to actually like understand that they're making decisions about whether they like something or not. So yeah, there are different techniques. You can also make sauces, like dipping, like if it's broccoli, for example, like you said, you could have like a few different sauces, and that way, like, it's kind of a game. Like you could have like three different colors of sauces on the broccoli, and they'd be focusing more on dipping the broccoli in the sauces rather than the broccoli itself.
That's
So,
a really good idea. I love that one. That's a good one. Yeah, because it is focused too, and I love that you said that 11 times because I've heard that too. I've heard 12, which is same really. But yeah, kids don't know because like if they try it the first time, either just straight raw or maybe in a dish with some other flavors that they didn't really like, it might not actually be the broccoli that they don't necessarily like. It could be other things, or they could just be having a bad day and they're just like,
right.
I don't want to eat this, right? So,
It
um,
could be the texture too. Like
yes.
you said, if you blend the broccoli into like a pate, maybe they will like it, or if you like slice it differently. I believe that cutting fruits and vegetables, like also like, I mean, it really changes the experience, the visual and like the taste experience in your mouth, like the shape of the fruit and vegetable. Like, yeah, for me, it changes a
For
lot. So,
me too. For me too. Like, for example, I don't like the texture of like zucchini sticks, like in dip. I can't with zucchini. But if they're spiralized, I like them a lot better. And the size of the spirals makes a big difference for me too. Like the regular spiralized zucchini is a little
mhm.
bit spongy, but if I use the angel hair one and they're like really super thin, I love them that way. So it's really
Mhm.
interesting. Like you said, it's the size and the texture or like the shape. Sometimes cutting them with cookie cutters into stars
Mhm.
makes them taste better for some reason.
Right. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. My kids
Mhm.
have little cookie cutter things. Absolutely.
That's so cool. It's like the star tastes better than the heart or whatever, right? We have a comment here that says, we tell our kids that their taste buds are growing every day, and let's see if X food tastes better now that you grew. That's a
Oh, nice.
true. Yeah, that's a cool one. Because in a way, it's true as well, because as their gut microbiome changes, right? Their body is like more attracted to certain foods because, maybe they're eating them more often, or they're eating certain foods in different families. Like, for example, cruciferous. Maybe they really like cabbage, but they don't like broccoli right away. But, the more they eat the cabbage, the more, they might enjoy the broccoli as well. So it's totally, yeah, growth and experimentation. And I love the stories. I like that you said, like, make it a game with the dipping,
Hmm.
right? Like, and then they find which one they like. And then obviously you as a parent, you look and see like, oh, they really like that mango tomato dressing, right? So then you take a mental note and you're like, I'm gonna make that one more often with broccoli because I know they like the two together.
Hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, so
Definitely.
so cool, so cool. Do you have any other thoughts on the subject that you want to share?
I do. We're also experimenting with because my kids are so close in age and there's like a lot of it's like very, very difficult to keep them like in control at the table because they're very like energetic kids and they're kind of all over the place. In general, we've decided to set up like a sticker system with a calendar. And so it's not just about food because I didn't want to create a point system just about food. I felt like that was not super, like, not a great thing to be putting in place.
Right.
But they have a point system for like getting up and like, getting dressed and getting ready calmly, and getting dressed themselves. And they get points for like being nice to their brothers because like I said, they're basically like triplets. And so there's like it is really hard, controlling the emotions and the energy. And
Mm-hmm.
then they get points for like trying everything at the mealtime and like eating calmly and staying at the table. And then they get points for going to bed and brushing their teeth and getting dressed. And honestly, that's like actually really helped too because sometimes at the mealtime they'll be like, oh, I don't want to eat that. And it's like, well, that's fine. You don't have to eat it. But if you want to get the sticker, you gotta at least try everything. And so these stickers, they like we've given, I think they're worth like each like 10 or 20 cents. And like at the end of the month or at the end of a couple of months, they can like pick out some Legos or whatever they want to pick out. And so this is like, some people may say, oh, that doesn't sound like a very ideal situation, but at the same time, it's like working for us and it like is keeping them more focused and they're like learning how to like, you know, basically like, yeah, function more independently, more calmly, they're nicer to each other. And so that's like another thing we're experimenting with.
Hmm. Yeah, kind of teaching like, future rewards, right? Which
Yeah.
is something that not a lot of people have the skill to. I think I don't remember the percentages, but more people who were successful in life when they were little, if they were given a choice of waiting for the marshmallows, I think it was, if they waited for the marshmallows, they got two marshmallows, but most kids just ate the marshmallow without waiting. And the ones who
Okay.
waited for the delayed gratification, right? They waited until the person came back into the room. They were more successful in life because
Oh,
they
really?
good delayed gratification, right? Like they got more when the person came back. So if they just waited, they would get double, right? So
Okay.
when you said that about the game, I want to share a really quick story. When I was probably in seventh, I think it was sixth grade. I think it was sixth grade. One of my absolute most fondest memories that I have from school was my French teacher. He had these like he called them jetons, like the little
Uh,
tickets or whatever. So
Jeton? Yeah.
he had like bags of them. They were basically just like little pieces of
Like
wax that you would
tokens?
melt for a
Yeah.
candle. Yeah. So he bought like bags of these, and if you didn't speak English in class, you got a jeton, and if you it cost one jeton to go to the bathroom, so you only used one if you really had to go to the bathroom, right, in class. And if you were good, you got an extra one. If like it was basically a reward system. So if you were a good kid in class, you got more jetons. And at the end of the month, just like how you do, you could exchange your jetons for toys or movie night or like uh, you get out of this one class or whatever. Like he had like a bunch of different things that you could spend them on. So it was like more incentive for us to, do the things that would teach us the delayed gratification, right? So
Hmm.
someone else says we give plant points too. Oh yeah, I love that idea. Like Dr. Will Bolsewicz talks about the plant points in his fiber fuel book. They earn points for each different food. So if they try even a bite, they get a point. That's
Yeah.
really cool. I like that idea too.
Yep. That's basically what we do. That's awesome.
That's
Plant
so cool.
points. Oh, maybe I'll call them plant points now.
Plant points, yeah. I love that idea because, yeah, and it just teaches them to try new things and get comfortable with trying new things because that's what life is, really. I mean, there's so many new things that come at us. And if we're scared to try new things, right, we don't necessarily get the full benefit of those new things that could bring to our lives, right?
And honestly, unfortunately, within the school system, there's influences from outside, like sources, like other kids that are saying, "Oh, it's gross, like don't eat it." So you do have to kind of combat those situations where your kids come home and they're like, "Oh, and you can tell that it's not necessarily coming from them because like it's something they've never said before. So yeah, the I like the plant point system. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And
How do you deal with things that your kids have said? Have they said anything, or like
I just
go ahead?
Yeah, yeah, like I have, sorry, since I can't see you, it's hard to
It's
like
okay. No, no, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, it sometimes like I can tell that they'll be like, "Oh, it's disgusting," and like they'll say something about like something they've eaten before, and I'm like, "Oh," I was like, "You've liked it before, like, I don't think that you think it's disgusting. I think that this sounds like you're just like upset about something, or maybe you're just repeating something like, and they usually just, kind of, brush it off. And then of course they're like, when they like are wanting to like have something that their friends say, like Coca-Cola, like my my eldest, he was like, I want Coca-Cola. We're at this like school party,
Mhm.
and I was actually doing a smoothie demo, and I was handing out smoothies to a bunch of kids, and it was actually kind of sad because there were a lot of parents that were going to like the soda rather than to my stand, just
Yeah.
because they were used to like giving their kids soda.
Mhm.
And so Mitch was like, I want to have Coke. I want to have Coke. And I was like, look, go ahead. You can try it. Like, I'll let you try it once, but I'm warning you now, I'm not going to be giving it to you all the time because it's really unhealthy, but you can go ahead and try it. And he tried it and he was like, yeah, actually, it wasn't that great. And so he just kind of like, he gave up on the idea. And we actually went trick or treating, and we went into the store, and the man in the store didn't have any candy and he had soda, and he was like, who wants a Coca-Cola? And my son was like, he's like, no, he's like, do you have any orange juice, because like
Oh,
Coca-Cola is bad for your health. And the guy was like, he's like, whose kid is this? I was like, I'm so proud.
aw. And see, that's cool because he made the choice, right?
Yeah.
He made the choice because he tried it before. And it's
Yeah.
interesting, just like, for example, with broccoli, right? They might try it once and be like, not the greatest. But same with the Coca-Cola. If the parents are drinking it all the time and giving it to the kid all the time, the kid can get accustomed to it, especially with the caffeine in it or whatever, and the sugar. Like they get accustomed to it. And it's just like anything in life. Food is just another habit that we build over time, and the
Absolutely.
more we choose it, the more it just becomes habit, just like a coffee habit. Yes, it's like it's got the addictive qualities to it, the caffeine and everything, but it's a lot of it is habit as well, right? Like you're just choosing it because you just choose it. It's just a normal part of your life. And people do that. They'll just go into the fridge and just grab the Coca-Cola because it's just what they've been doing forever, right? To break that cycle, that's the hard part. So teaching them young to show them the difference between the two is so good.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. It's like the automatic, like, we're basically automating, like, just kind of the go-to things. Like, rather than automating, like, unhealthy go-to things, like, try to automate healthier go-to things. And, like, it's hard for me sometimes, like, when around holiday season, I have these like memories with my family around unhealthier foods, and I do crave them sometimes just because, like, for me, cravings do happen sometimes. And like the best way I can get around that is creating healthier options. And like I said, really enforcing like, or, supporting the celebration of fruits rather
Yeah.
than like the other desserts. And I know that like over time, my kids will thank me one day. Maybe they'll be adolescents and hate me at some point, but you just gotta go through the motions.
Yep, totally. I know. We never know. We never know. But yeah, just setting them up. And it's true. I like that you said that you still have like the random craving, because I think people expect that they'll never have a craving again. Or a lot of people ask me like, when do the cravings stop? And I'm like, well, they don't necessarily stop per se. They change. Your cravings do change. But those like pathways that you created from when you were little, it's really hard to like completely erase those. And they pop up every once in a while to remind you maybe of the good times that you had, and you can enjoy the memory. But then, like today is the most important day to focus on. So it's like, you can accept those instead of feeling guilty that you have a craving. Because a lot of people will be like, they beat themselves up, like, I shouldn't have cravings. And it's like, well, like, let the craving exist, but then, make a conscious choice of what you will choose now. Like, savor the memory that you have with that food or person or whatever. But then, like, just take it. It's kind of like meditation, right? Let the thought sit and then thank the thought and then let it go, right?
Hmm.
That's kind of how
Yeah,
I do. But also cravings usually, aside from being like emotional or like traditional or habitual, a lot of cravings are usually because people are hungry, so they default to
mhm,
those old pathways, right? But if you just choose something and eat it, usually you feel better and you're like, yeah, and then you can like hold on to that memory while still eating something healthier and have kind of the best of both worlds.
absolutely.
Mm.
Very, very true.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining me today. Yeah, Coach Sandra is in the chat. Hello, Sandra.
Hey,
She's in the bundle
Sandra.
too. Yeah, everyone, get the bundle if you have not gotten it yet. You're getting over $8,000 worth of vegan content from, I think there's over 120 contributors. There's 150 things in there. You got to get it. It's only here until March 10th. It's only $49 and you get all of the content listed on the website. So go to the link in either of our bios, and go grab the bundle before it's gone, because it's a really great deal. So thank you so much. Oh, we got Coach Sandra says best bundle ever.
It
I've had
is. It's
so many
insane.
people say that too. Yeah, it's amazing. It's loaded. It's fully loaded. Yeah. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you
It
for
was wonderful.
having me on. It's always nice to hear you. I can't say see you. I saw you briefly, but it's always nice to hear your voice and like have nice discussions with you. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening and get the bundle.
Oh yeah. The bundle. All right. We'll see you later. We'll see you again. We'll do another live at some point.
Awesome.
All right.
Bye.
Ciao. Have a great day.